You didn't click on this by mistake. Something deep inside you already knows what I'm about to say. Something in you is tired. Tired of the hustle, the pressure, the confusion. Tired of working your fingers to the bone just to come up short again. Tired of pretending that everything's okay while secretly wondering if this is all life's ever gonna be. Because you've done what they said, you followed the steps, you got the job, paid the bills, maybe even tried the budgeting apps, read the books, followed the finance gurus online. But somehow, money still feels like sand slipping through your fingers. No matter how hard you try to hold on, it keeps disappearing. And it's not that you're lazy. It's not that you're reckless. It's not that you don't care. It's that you were never taught the truth about what money really is. And the truth is this: money is not math. It's not logic. It's not hours worked or grades earned. Money is energy. And if your energy is off, your money will be too. That's what nobody ever told you. That it's not about your grind. It's about your frequency. If your internal world is rooted in fear, doubt, and scarcity, it doesn't matter how many hours you work. The universe listens to energy, not effort. You can have 3 jobs, a degree, a resume a mile long, but if the signal you're sending out says, "I'm broke," life will respond accordingly. Because the world isn't responding to your hopes or your hustle. It's responding to your belief system, to your vibration, to the unspoken contract you've made with life that says, "I only deserve just enough to survive." That contract was signed years ago, probably when you were a kid. Maybe it happened when your mom sighed while checking the mailbox, worried about bills. Maybe it was when your dad snapped at you in the grocery store, telling you to put something back because it's too expensive. Maybe it was when your teacher laughed at the idea of dreaming big and told you to be realistic. Whatever moment it was, it imprinted something on you. That money is stressful, that money is dangerous, that wanting more is wrong. And since that day, you've carried that frequency into every job interview, every bank visit, every financial decision. But here's what they don't teach in school. Energy creates form. What you feel about money is more powerful than what you know about it. If you feel like you don't deserve it, it won't stay. If you believe it's hard to get, it will run from you. And if you've been taught that suffering equals value, then your nervous system will sabotage anything that feels too easy, because you've been conditioned to trust struggle over flow. This is why you're still stuck, not because you're broken, but because your energy hasn't been aligned. You've been playing someone else's game with someone else's rules and wondering why you keep losing. The game was never designed for your abundance. It was designed to keep you chasing, not receiving. But what if that changes right now? What if you stop chasing and start attracting? What if you don't need to work harder, but simply rewire your relationship with wealth? Because money doesn't care how much you bleed. It cares how much you believe. And that's the shift. That's the moment it all starts to change. When you stop asking, "How do I earn more?" and start asking, "How do I become someone who is safe to receive more?" Think about that. Really let that land. Because until you feel safe having money, you'll keep pushing it away. Not consciously, but energetically. That's why no matter how many times you get a raise, it's gone by next month. That's why every time you get ahead, something breaks. That's why you're tired. Because you're not just chasing money. You're chasing permission to feel safe, to rest, to stop worrying. But no amount of chasing will give you that. Because safety doesn't come from a dollar amount. It comes from alignment. And alignment starts inside. So if you're still here, still listening, it means you're ready. Ready to let go of everything they taught you about struggle, about lack, about being realistic.
You're ready to remember that money is a mirror. It reflects who you believe you are. If you believe you're not worthy, it will avoid you. If you believe you're cursed, it will disappear. But if you believe you are allowed to thrive, if you believe you are safe to receive, if you believe you are enough right now, then everything begins to shift. And no, it's not instant. No, it's not a trick. It's a frequency. And frequencies take practice. You don't tune an instrument once and expect it to play forever. You keep tuning. You keep adjusting. You keep coming back into harmony. That's what this journey is. A return to harmony with money. Not force, not control, harmony. The reason money flows to some and away from others has nothing to do with effort. It has to do with energy. That's why you've seen someone work 16 hours a day and still be broke, and someone else who seems to barely try, and yet wealth follows them like a shadow. Because it's not about working more, it's about being energetically available. And most of us were never taught how to be that. We were taught to hustle, to prove ourselves, to grind. We were taught that value is earned through pain. But energy doesn't care about that. Energy cares about alignment, about openness, about resonance. So if your energy is full of fear, resentment, guilt, shame, money will sense that and move on. Not as punishment, but because that frequency isn't compatible with flow. And money loves flow. That's why it's called currency. It's supposed to move, not stagnate, not suffocate, move. But when you hoard it out of fear, when you undercharge out of guilt, when you spend in panic instead of trust, you block the current. You stop the flow. And the universe, which is always listening, mirrors back exactly what you're vibrating. Not what you want, what you are. That's the law. As within, so without. If you feel scarce inside, you will live in scarcity. If you feel abundant inside, you will live in abundance. It's not magic, it's energy. And the best part? You can change it. You can shift it right now, without permission, without waiting. All it takes is a choice to believe something new, to tune your energy to wealth, to speak differently, act differently, think differently, to start treating yourself like someone who is worthy of more. Because you are. You always were. You just forgot. But forgetting isn't failure. It's just a pause. And now, you remember. And from here, everything changes.
Let's go deeper. Because now that you've remembered the truth, that money is energy, it's time to look at how that energy actually moves. Not just in your mind, but in your life. Because here's something most people never realize. Your financial reality isn't built by your job, your boss, or the economy. It's built by your patterns. And those patterns, they live in your nervous system. They were coded into you before you could even talk, before you knew what a dollar was, before you had a chance to decide what money meant to you. Someone else already decided. And that's what's been running the show ever since. That's why you can feel like you're working hard and still stuck. Because hard work has nothing to do with your worth. Let that sink in. Your worth was never measured in hours or hustle. But that's what we were taught. Be a good worker. Keep your head down. Don't ask for too much. And if you do well enough, long enough, maybe you'll get rewarded. That's the trap. That's the old world. And if you're still playing by those rules, you're playing a rigged game. You can't out-hustle a belief system that says you don't deserve more. You have to rewrite the code. And that starts by asking one powerful question. What did I learn about money that no longer serves me? Maybe you learned that rich people are greedy. Maybe you learned that wanting more is selfish. Maybe you learned that the only way to succeed is to sacrifice. But none of those things are universal truths. They're just beliefs. Stories passed down like hand-me-downs, worn and torn, but still wrapped around your subconscious like armor. And until you take that armor off, money won't feel safe around you. Because money is sensitive. It responds to your state. When you're anxious, it avoids you. When you're grounded, it moves towards you. And that's not woo-woo. That's physics. That's resonance. Every thought you think emits a frequency. Every emotion you feel programs your body. Every belief you carry builds your reality. So if your beliefs are rooted in lack, your life will be too. That's why gratitude is powerful. Not because it's polite, but because it's magnetic. When you say thank you for what you have, you tell the universe, I trust the flow. And the universe responds with more. But when you say it's never enough, you block the flow. You shut the door, not because you're bad, not because you're broken, but because your body is trying to protect you. Most of our money blocks are actually safety patterns, deep subconscious codes that say things like, if I get rich, people will hate me. If I have more, I'll lose it. If I stop struggling, I'll be alone. And these patterns don't just live in your mind. They live in your body, in your breath, in the way your shoulders tighten when you talk about money, in the way your stomach drops when you check your bank account, in the way your heart races when you ask to be paid what you're worth. These aren't personality traits. These are symptoms, feedback from an energy system that's been overloaded with fear. But the beauty of energy is that it's always in motion. It can be cleared, shifted, aligned. You don't have to carry those stories anymore. You can thank them for protecting you, and then let them go. Because the truth is, you were never meant to suffer for money. You were meant to flow with it, to collaborate with it, to use it as a tool, not as a measure of your value, not as a chain around your neck, but as a resource that responds to who you are being. And the question is, who are you willing to become? Not in a year, not someday, right now. Are you willing to become someone who believes they are safe to receive? Someone who sees money as neutral, not good, not bad, just energy. Are you willing to become someone who spends from trust, not fear? Who saves with joy, not panic? Who gives without keeping score and receives without guilt? That's the shift. That's the unlock. That's what opens the floodgates. Because money is emotional. And if you're emotionally disconnected from your worth, you'll always feel like you're chasing. Even when you earn more, even when things look good on the outside, you'll still feel like you're not enough. And that feeling will sabotage everything. Because your outer world can only expand to the level your inner world feels safe to hold. That's why it's not about making more. It's about becoming more. Not for anyone else, not to impress, but to align. Because aligned people don't chase money. Money chases them. Not because they're lucky, but because they've done the work, the inner work. They've learned to trust themselves, to hold power without shame, to speak their value without apology. And that's the real wealth, the kind no one can take from you, the kind that builds a life, not just a lifestyle. And you don't need $1 million to feel rich. You can feel rich right now. You can start shifting your frequency today by how you speak, by how you breathe, by how you treat your time. Time is energy. Attention is energy. What you focus on multiplies. So if you focus on lack, you create more lack. If you focus on flow, you create more flow. That's the game. That's the quantum truth. Energy expands what you feed it. So what are you feeding right now? What are you investing your attention into? Is it fear? Is it doubt? Is it shame? Or is it trust? Is it gratitude? Is it possibility? You have a choice. Every moment is a choice. And the more you choose from abundance, the more abundance chooses you. That's how it works. Not perfectly, not instantly, but inevitably. Energy doesn't lie. It doesn't play favorites. It mirrors you. So the deeper you go into your healing, the more you release the blocks, the guilt, the inherited stories, the more space you create for wealth to land and stay. That's what nobody teaches. That you don't just need to attract money, you need to be able to hold it energetically, emotionally, spiritually. Because if your vessel is cracked, if your identity isn't ready, the money will leave. Not because you're cursed, but because you're not aligned. So build the container first. Strengthen the energy field. Learn to receive without flinching. That's the work. That's the path. And the beauty of energy work is that it's subtle. It's internal. It doesn't require anyone's permission. You don't need a new job or a six-figure opportunity. You just need a new signal, a new way of being, a new relationship with wealth that starts right now, in this moment, with the most powerful decision you can ever make. I am ready to receive. I am safe to expand. I am enough as I am. Speak it, breathe it, believe it, and the energy will follow.
Let's make this real now. Let's bring it home. Because this isn't just philosophy anymore. It's personal. This is your life, your reality, your relationship with money, your energy, your power, your ability to stand up and say, no more playing small. Because here's the part they never tell you. Most people don't actually fear being broke. They fear being powerful. They fear what might change if the money actually comes. What if my family treats me differently? What if people think I've changed? What if I don't know how to handle it and lose it all? That fear, that's the wall between you and abundance. Not your education, not your resume, not your bank account, fear. And the antidote to fear isn't knowledge, it's embodiment. You have to become the version of you who already has the wealth, not someday, now. You have to speak like them, walk like them, think like them, trust like them, act like them, not because you're faking it, but because you're building it from the inside out. The universe doesn't wait until you're ready. It responds the moment you are aligned. And alignment doesn't mean perfection. It means integrity. It means deciding over and over again to show up for yourself. It means creating space where there used to be shame, where there used to be hiding, where there used to be doubt. And yes, it's vulnerable. Yes, it's unfamiliar. But so is abundance until you live it. So is peace until you allow it. So is freedom until you claim it. You've done the hard part already. You've survived the conditioning, the trauma, the guilt, the programming. You've held your breath for years, waiting for someone to tell you it's okay to exhale. So here it is. It's okay now. It's safe now. You can let go. You can receive. You can be soft and still be powerful. You can be wealthy and still be good. You don't have to bleed to earn. You don't have to chase to be chosen. You just have to be willing to believe a different story, a new blueprint, one that doesn't start with fear, but with truth. And the truth is this: you were born for overflow, not to prove anything, not to impress anyone, but because you are a vessel for creation, and creation moves through flow. That's what money really is, creation in motion, the capacity to choose, the power to say yes, the freedom to rest, to give, to build, to rise. That's what you're reclaiming. Not just the dollars, but the dignity, the presence, the peace. Because money doesn't change who you are, it amplifies it. So when you do the work to heal, to grow, to align, money becomes an extension of that. It becomes a mirror for your expansion, not your anxiety. And no, it doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen faster than you think when you stop fighting the flow, when you stop repeating the old stories, when you stop giving your power away to systems and scarcity and start remembering who you are. You are not your bank balance. You are not your credit score. You are not your mistakes or your past. You are an energetic being capable of rewriting your entire reality from the inside out. So let's talk about what that looks like, practically. Every morning, before the noise begins, sit with yourself. Not your phone, not your to-do list, yourself. Feel your breath. Feel your body. Feel the space inside you that already knows. Speak to that space. Declare out loud, I command my energy back. I close all loops. I welcome abundance with ease. Then move through your day with sacred intention. Don't rush, don't collapse, don't apologize for your value. Set your prices like you believe in yourself. Speak like someone who expects good things. Walk like someone who trusts the process. And when the fear creeps in, because it will, pause, breathe. Remind yourself, this is just old code running its course. You don't have to feed it anymore. You don't have to believe every scared thought. You're not your thoughts. You're the field that holds them. And in that field, you can plant something new. A belief that says, I am worthy of ease. I am safe with money. I am enough even when I rest. I can receive without debt. I can give without fear. I can grow without shame. Because here's the wild part. Wealth is already yours. In a timeline, in a version of this universe, it's done. And your job now is to become the match for it. That's it. Not to force, not to fix, but to align. And alignment happens through choice, through small, sacred choices every day, choosing to see yourself differently, choosing to believe again, choosing to walk with trust, choosing to live like the man or woman who no longer needs to chase, because the chase is over. The survival era is over. Now begins the flow era, the expansion era, the era of receiving without apology, giving without depletion, holding without breaking. And it's all happening right here, in this moment, because you're finally remembering. This was never about money. This was always about you, about your belief in your own enoughness, about your willingness to be seen, about your courage to shift the pattern, not just for yourself, but for every generation that comes after. That's what you're doing. You're not just manifesting wealth. You're breaking generational chains. You're shifting the narrative. You're choosing a new legacy. And that legacy doesn't start with numbers. It starts with energy. The energy of trust, the energy of truth, the energy of freedom. And that energy lives in you now. So take a deep breath. Let the old version of you fall away, the one who was afraid, ashamed, always chasing. Let them rest and rise as the version of you who knows, who trusts, who receives. This is your new reality. This is your new normal. Overflow, ease, safety, flow. Money is not your enemy. It's not your master. It's your mirror. It's your ally. It's your amplifier. And now that you're in alignment, it knows where to find you. Welcome it, bless it, and then let it move. Because energy was never meant to stay still. It was meant to flow through you, around you, as you. That's the secret. That's the work. That's the truth. And now it's yours.